Hi, this is Anton. Today, I'm going to read some self forgiveness by Veno on the subject of male ego. I forgive myself that I've allowed myself to define myself according to the ego of the mind. I forgive myself that I've allowed myself to believe that I am the ego of the mind. I forgive myself that I allowed myself to utilize the ego of the mind to define myself as to hide the insecurities, fears, inferiority I experience within me. I forgive myself that I have not allowed myself to realize that the ego of the mind is the polarity manifestation of the mind as superiority to hide and cover the inferiority and insecurity I actually experience inside myself, but don't want anyone to see or notice through fear that they may judge me if they were to see me. I forgive myself that I have allowed myself to become the ego of the mind. I forgive myself that I have allowed myself to present a deceptive presentation of myself as the ego of the mind, through presenting myself as being superior, so others may think and believe that I am the man, that I am strong, and that I do not fear. I forgive myself that I allow myself to become the ego of the mind because it was the only way I knew how to stand and become a man, to show everyone else in the world that I am the strong and the independent man. I forgive myself that I haven't allowed myself to realize that only the ego of the mind will seek revenge, will seek fight, will seek conflict to reassert and regenerate and compound itself within me as me. I forgive myself that I haven't allowed myself to realize that participation in the ego as the ego is addictive. I forgive myself that I have allowed myself to copy the ego manifestation from my father because I saw my father as the example of me, whom I idealized and I wanted to be just like him. Thus, I became the ego to become my father so he may be proud of me. I forgive myself that I have allowed myself to become the ego of the mind, to use the ego of the mind as a defense and protection of myself through becoming the procrastination of superiority so that no one may think that they have the ability to fuck with me. I forgive myself that I have allowed myself to experience a sense of pleasure, a sense of satisfaction, a sense of power when accessing in becoming the ego of the mind as me. I forgive myself that I allowed myself to define the ego of the mind as power. I forgive myself that I allowed myself to become the ego of the mind to feel powerful, to feel strong, and to feel indestructible, to be certain that no one or nothing can fuck with me in any way. I forgive myself that I have not allowed myself to realize that I am not the ego of the mind. I forgive myself that I allow myself to believe that I need the ego of the mind to protect myself, to defend myself, and to protect and defend others. I forgive myself that I haven't allowed myself to realize that the ego of the mind enjoys conflict, fighting, and arguments. Thus, will always attempt and try to get involved with such situations, to step forth and say, "Hey, this is the ego. Come try fuck with me, and I will show you who I am." I forgive myself that I have allowed myself to believe that I need the ego of the mind to be strong. I forgive myself that I allowed myself to accept and believe that I need the ego of the mind to be powerful. I forgive myself that I allowed myself to actually think and believe that by becoming the ego of the mind, presenting the deception to others of me being superior will actually protect me in defense. I forgive myself that I have not allowed myself to realize that I have accepted and allowed myself to become, be, and participate as the ego of the mind within the experiences of myself in this world. I forgive myself that I have not allowed myself to realize that the ego of the mind always desires, wants, and needs fighting, conflict, and arguments to generate itself within me as me. I forgive myself that I have not allowed myself to realize that the ego of the mind is generated through anger, frustration, hatred, and will seek and search and get involved in situations, scenarios to instigate anger, frustration, hate, and hatred within me to generate itself with. I forgive myself that I have not allowed myself to realize that ego is the echo of the mind, the lost part of me I have separated myself from, becoming the demon within me existing of the generation and instigation of anger, frustration, and hatred. I forgive myself that I have not allowed myself to realize that the ego of the mind is the representation of the demon within me, the part of me that I have accepted and allowed myself to separate myself from because I could not imagine such a thing to exist within me. I forgive myself that I have allowed myself to split me from myself within me, manifesting the demon as the ego of the mind. I forgive myself that I have not allowed myself to realize that inferiority is actually in fear and horror. In fear and horror of facing myself. In fear and horror of myself. In fear and horror of the demon I have accepted and allowed myself to become as the ego of the mind. I forgive myself that I allowed myself to use the ego of the mind to manipulate situation, to have it be my way. I forgive myself that I have not allowed myself to realize that when the ego is bruised, the ego will feel pumped and wired to go back to the situation that caused the ego bruising, to once again assert itself, regenerate itself to say, I am here, look at me, look at what I can do. I forgive myself that I have not allowed myself to realize that only the ego will want to fight, set the record straight through conflicts and arguments. I forgive myself that I have not allowed myself to realize that I have manifested and designed this ego within me as me because I have not accepted myself within and as oneness and equality as who I am. I forgive myself that I have not allowed myself to realize that I am responsible for my own actions and words in any given moment. I forgive myself that I have allowed myself to cover up and hide my inferiority and uncertainty with ego as superiority. I forgive myself that I allowed myself to want, need, and desire to be stronger and more powerful than others, to sort out and give direction to situations. In this want, need, and desire, I have manifested the ego of the mind because I believed myself as who I am to be weak. I forgive myself that I allow myself to fear weakness. I forgive myself that I have allowed myself to believe that weakness exists. I forgive myself that I have allowed myself to play the polarity friction game of the mind by becoming superiority and hiding the inferiority and uncertainty within me as me. I forgive myself that I have not allowed myself to realize that the ego of the mind exists of suppressed anger within me, which has manifested as the ego of the mind, the demon that has become me. I forgive myself that I have allowed myself to I forgive myself that I have allowed my suppressed anger to manifest as the ego of the mind, to exert out and express out on other human beings, situations, scenarios separate from me, instead of me applying self-forgiveness for releasing the anger within me. I forgive myself that I have not allowed myself to realize that I search and seek other human beings, situations, and scenarios within which to exert this suppressed anger within me, separate from my by becoming the ego of the mind. I forgive myself that I have not allowed myself to realize that I will instigate situations and scenarios deliberately to exert the suppressed anger within me out on others separate from me by becoming the ego of the mind. I forgive myself that I have not allowed myself to realize that I use the ego of them to get attention from human beings, to be noticed by the human beings in any and all means possible, because I have not accepted myself as who I am. I forgive myself that I have allowed myself to use the ego of the mind in justifying actions, acts, reactions, and responses to certain specific human beings, situations, and scenarios to be acceptable and okay as a cause and reason for wanting, desiring, and needing to do what is apparently necessary to be done. I forgive myself that I have allowed myself to use the ego of the mind in becoming this to try to attempt and try to control a certain specific situation, event, and circumstance. I forgive myself that I have not allowed myself to realize that I derive power from the ego of the mind to have control of a situation, to have it go my way. I forgive myself that I have allowed myself to believe that in becoming the ego of the mind, I am one of the guys. I forgive myself that I allowed myself to believe that in becoming the ego of the mind, I will attract woman. I forgive myself that I have allowed myself to become the ego of the mind to fit in with society of men, to because to be a man you must have an ego. I forgive myself that I have allowed myself to establish myself as the ego of the mind within and of this world, because I believed and thought that for a man to be a man in this world, especially to survive, the man need an ego to protect himself with. I forgive myself that I have not allowed myself to realize that I am too shit scared of self-intimacy and being intimate with another, that I become the ego of the mind to not experience myself in any way whatsoever, but to be a man defined with and of this world, the unified conscious field. I forgive myself that I allow myself to use the ego of the mind to ensure that no one, nothing can hurt me in any way whatsoever, not emotionally or even to feel in any way whatsoever. I forgive myself that I have allowed myself to believe that having an ego is being strong and powerful, a man.